So my plate is more full than ever, and I'm really trying to navigate it as I look back on my 13th Kickstarter campaign. So let's get into it. My name is Adriano. I'm the publisher, writer, all kinds of things here at Pesto Comics, and I just had another successful campaign with Naked Kaiju Woman #3. Now, I don't always say the full title. I usually call it NKW, because online I've been seeing a lot of suppression since I've been trying to push that campaign. On TikTok in particular, we're completely suppressed. We're getting 0 views on a lot of the videos, which seem to do well on every other platform, except those ones that I, of course, say the full title, Naked Kaiju Woman. Now, we'll see how this one does, but I don't think I can get very far with actually saying the title of the thing I'm talking about. So, all of that aside, let's get into the details of this campaign. Now, today isn't going to be a full postmortem where I'll go through all the numbers like I typically do. My plan for that was actually to start a secondary newsletter called the Pesto Vault, and we would go through all of the numbers and all of the background details of everything I'm doing. But with all the campaigns we're launching and all of the things happening in the direct market, and now we have plans for trades and doing collections of series that have just come out, there's just a lot that I'm trying to get together, and I haven't been able to do that extra little bit. And for those of you that were paid members, I haven't forgotten you. I know I promised to make things square, and I still plan on doing so. But I ask you to bear with me as I sort this all out. I am going to do my best to make it worth your while, I promise. But all that said, we're not going to do a full postmortem, but let me know if you're still interested in that. I'm more than happy to share all the numbers and really dig deep into everything that happened with this campaign. But today I'm going to focus on 3 things that happened during the campaign for Naked Kaiju Woman 3 that I didn't see with Naked Kaiju Woman 2, which remains the best crowdfunded comic we've done to date. So Naked Kaiju Woman 2 still holds that record, but we've seen some interesting things with Naked Kaiju Woman 3. Now with this third campaign, it relied on many of those backers that have been here since the first campaign or hopped on the second, returning for this third one. And I take that as a good sign. If there's people coming back after having read the first and the second issue, it means we're doing something right. We're not scaring people away. And in the case of Naked Kaiju Woman 3, 78% of the backers that we received were returning backers. So that's a huge number and worrisome in one way, but very, very comforting in another. Again, knowing that we're doing something right. This is a vote of confidence. This is people saying, yes, I'm here for the third one because I enjoyed the second one. I enjoyed the first one. We're into what you're doing and we want to see more of it. And seeing these people come back is huge. But that leads me to my second point. If 78% of the backers were returning backers, that means we only had 22% of new people coming in. So there's a few things I think may have led to this. One of which is the ticket price has gone up for a number of reasons. One is the obvious one, being NKW3. There's a number 1 and a number 2 to catch up on. So that bundle gets a little more expensive with each subsequent campaign we do in the series. That's not surprising. One thing I'm going to start doing, even with this next campaign that we're doing for SNIP, is make sure that there's a tier that just includes issue 1 for people who just want to sample it, who don't want to start with issue 3, but they want some way in that they wouldn't be able to get otherwise. I haven't set up a digital store on pestocomics.com yet, though I have plans to do so. And I don't have an online shop to sell physical books in between campaigns. So if you haven't read NKW1 and you don't want to commit to all 3, I didn't really give you a window to do that. So that's something I will remedy going forward, not just with this campaign, but with every campaign. I'm really going to keep it in mind that there has to be an entry point. Not everybody was there for the first issue, and now they don't want to commit to 3 issues up front. Totally makes sense. Totally mistake on my part. The other thing I think I need to work on to get more people on board is advertising. So both with NKW1 and number 2, I did put some money into meta ads. I toyed a bit with Twitter ads, which I don't think I'm going to do that again. And I didn't at all with the third one. And even going out to dinner with some comic book creator friends recently, they mentioned, yeah, when you were doing those other campaigns, I was seeing your posts every few posts. Now, there's some targeting I have to do there to make sure that people who haven't already backed aren't getting the ads over and over. But just the idea that it was working. They were seeing the ads out there, and it did help convince them to back at some point. So I know that ads can work, and that may have been the difference in the delta here in terms of getting new people on board who wouldn't have seen it otherwise. Something really to keep in mind. And then my third point, although there wasn't too many brand new backers, with 116 of them, we had an average pledge of over $50 per backer. That's because many of these backers were getting the entire set. They were getting the catch-up tiers. They weren't just getting NKW3, they were getting 1, 2, and 3 in physical formats. And sometimes they were going back and getting the whole Pesto Comics catalog. So it really brought up the average because it was people catching up. And it really does show that a backlist is the most powerful thing you can have as a comics creator. The more that you do, the more that it snowballs over time. So looking at it overall, I'm very happy with how this campaign went. It's the second best campaign I've ever had. I'm not entirely happy because I was really hoping that NKW3 would do better than NKW2 did, but looking back at it, it really was something that I encouraged. It was something that I didn't allow it to grow as quickly as I did with number 2. I made it very easy for someone who was just catching up to jump on and made it seem like, yes, they were missing out, but there's still time. With number 3, I feel like I was just talking to the people that already knew what we were talking about, and only those that were willing to really make the investment and really buy in at high tiers, they were the only new folks that showed up. I didn't give a good option for people who were new to Naked Kaiju Woman to give it a shot. That's the biggest takeaway I have from this campaign, and something I'll certainly be taking forward into new ones, including the next campaign we got going for SNIP 3 through 5. So again, if you missed number 1 and 2, I'm going to make it easy for you to just get number 1. If you just want to sample it, you can do that. Now, it might be difficult for you to get the Kickstarter versions of books, but I always tend to have a handful left that I make available in future campaigns. But once SNIP hits the direct market, that's where you're going to want to get it from. So there's a whole different equation I'm doing with SNIP 3 through 5 because it's destined for the direct market. I'm not expecting it to get anywhere near what we did with the NKW series. It's really just an opportunity to do something special and something exclusive for those people who have supported Pesto Comics well before we were ever in the direct market. So I want to make sure that we're doing something unique and something that you can't get in stores. Although the content of the pages themselves will be something that will be available in the direct market, I want people to feel like Kickstarter is still something special and still something that you can't get anywhere else. I really just need to keep in mind that there's always going to be new people. There's always new readers out there. There's always people who are just discovering Pesto Comics and everything we're doing on Kickstarter. And I need to make it easier for them to jump on board. And that's definitely what I'm going to do. And I'm going to make sure they can find us by putting some money into ads so that they're aware that Pesto Comics exists, not just on store shelves, but on Kickstarter as well. We're always going to have to do both to make this sustainable as it is. Hopefully, as we grow over time, that becomes less of a requirement and more of just an opportunity to just do something special here and there. But for now, it's really the lifeblood of this whole organization. It's having things in multiple places at once that's going to make it possible to get books out to you. And I thank all of you who support both on Kickstarter and in the direct market. You are allowing all of this cool stuff to happen. You are making these books a possibility. And I appreciate you. And you mean the world to me. And again, I'm going to talk to you next week. I thank you so much for being here. Have a good one.